You know the old saying, no matter how big or small, your home is your castle. And this little cottage is a beauty. It's charming, cosy, and perfect for the young professional couple that live here. But in any inner city home where, let's face it, space is at a premium, are you making the most of every square millimetre? Like this area here. Well, this very precious slither of real estate is just off the study and it runs almost the full length of the house. The only thing it's being used for is to collect leaves and house the world's longest washing line. Now, you may see this as a wasted space, but I see it as a golden opportunity. So our decking isn't actually in that bad a nick. There's nothing else going on, but that's all right, because what I'm imagining is a lush, leafy oasis where the owners can come out and enjoy a bit of gardening. The inspiration I've got could be used for any disused courtyard or even a balcony. I'm thinking lots of lovely plants, lots of pots, even a fold-away table. And that's what I'll get on to first. There's three simple components. I've got a part which I'm going to screw to the wall. Then I've got an angle, which is going to fold in on some hinges, and I'm using some decking boards to just really dress it up. With that fixed to the wall, you can see we have a very nifty little table. It folds away almost as easily as it went together. There's a real temptation in a small space like this to put small pots all the way down the edge, but what that's going to do is emphasize the fact that you've got this big long runway. You actually want to break the space up, so I'm doing that with enormous pots. Now that is going to allow me to bring in some big plants, but also it'll help to block the flow through, so you'll meander through the space and slowly enjoy it. Now, when you're setting pots out, a good point to start with is think about your sight lines out from the house. We've got the study behind me, so there's going to be a big pot at the end to catch the eye, and we've also got a few windows here, so I'll be putting something tall in these. And then you can add the smaller plants to it, and that's going to add texture and different layers. Everybody loves a potted plant, but so often you get them from the nursery, bring them back, and things die in them. Well, I can tell you 90% of the time that happens is down to poor drainage in the pots. When it comes to drainage, too much water is just as bad as not enough water. And when you look at the bottom of the pot, it's all got to drain out of this small hole. Now, you could put some more holes in the bottom of each pot, but you do run the risk of cracking it. So I'm just going to work with what we've got. And it starts with this shade cloth. And then on top of that, I'm actually using some blue metal. It's really important you go for a small size and an angular shape. Now, I'm getting another layer of the shade cloth on top. Now, this is going to prevent the potting mix mixing with the blue metal. You want to make sure you compact this down a little bit, but not too much. And what I mean by that is if you compact it down too hard, you get rid of any air spaces and the roots are going to find it really hard to establish. One of the most important things you do when doing a pot like this is to start it and finish it in the place where it's going to live forever, because this one has already got quite heavy. It's going to be quite difficult to get into spot. Yes, I am using big plants to match my big pots, and it may seem counterintuitive to put big, bold foliage in a small space, but it actually makes the whole garden feel much bigger. I've used upright planting. These giant elephant's ears have got a lovely clear stem, and then you give this great big canopy of green. I'm also doing that with some palms. This Kentia, when it gets planted, will be brought up and give us this lovely dappled shade over the top. I'm working with foliage, so everything is lovely green, different textures. This garden's going to come together really well. Really is amazing how much bigger the space is feeling the more plants we put into it. To finish off our canopy, I'm adding some texture and layers to the lower areas. I've got a cluster of 4 here, and they're all really bold foliage plants. The tractor seat, but then I'm adding some light with this lovely variegated calathea, and then almost a fine filigree in this silver lady fern. I've gone even smaller with my pots, but brought them higher up here. And I've just used some interesting plants like this little echeveria, so when you come around this small bend, you stop and really enjoy everything this garden's got to offer. Now, I know you may be thinking, what have I done giving a young professional couple all of these plants? There's so much maintenance. And yes, it does look a little bit like a jungle, but all these plants need similar maintenance requirements. When it comes to foliage plants like this, you just remove any old leaves that look tatty, and watering is the key with potted plants. Too much is just as bad as not enough. You want to make sure your potting mix is moist but not too wet. So for all of these plants, twice a week you should be doing it. Liquid fertilizer is also going to be your friend. Because the fertilizer drains through the potting mix so quickly, you want to be doing that every 4 weeks, and this will be looking like a lush green jungle. You can't make your block bigger, but you can be smarter about the way you use it. And this is a pretty good solution. What once was a thoroughfare you just wanted to get out of is now an inviting spot to sit down and enjoy a cup of tea. On top of that, the owners have got a lovely outlook from their study, and they might even venture out, go through the meandering path and take in some of the plant life. The best part is it's all done with pots, so why not have a crack at home this weekend?